Welcome back. JavaScript was created in 1995 by the Netscape web browser, right over here. It was a way for them to be able to add actions to websites. Think of JavaScript as the verb in anything you do on a website. You tweet, you play a YouTube video, you sign up for a username. These are all actions we take on websites, made possible through JavaScript. In 1995, it was a way for this browser, Netscape, to beat the competition, which were other browsers at the time. Because at the time Netscape was the most popular, other browsers started adopting their own version of JavaScript so that websites will work on their browsers as well, and thus let people switch over to their browsers. Can you guess what happened next? Well, every browser had their own idea of what JavaScript was. So there was no standard. Eventually, a standard had to be created to make sure that everyone had the same idea what JavaScript was, so that web developers can build one website and have it work on all browsers. This standard was called ECMAScript. So yes, JavaScript and ECMAScript can be used interchangeably, and you will hear both of these a lot. But it's the same language. Now, this browser compatibility issue. Browsers having their own teams, their own schedule, and their own code. Sound familiar? Yep. If you remember, it's the same thing that happened with HTML and CSS. It's the same issue that we keep having over and over. We covered this topic in Web Developer Fundamental Part 2. You see, it's always a big problem. Make sure that all browsers have the same understanding of what a real HTML, CSS, and JavaScript should be, so that when we send each one of those files, we don't have to write one specific for each browser. And just like HTML and CSS, JavaScript is evolving. So there are new things that we can do now that you weren't able to do in 1995 with JavaScript. In the ES6 video section, later on in the course, we will talk about these new features, so don't worry. Now, let's take a look at what JavaScript does. We can open up the browser, and I have Udemy over here. Well, Udemy uses a lot of JavaScript. I mean, clicking on a course, adding it to cart, liking a post. All these things, well, they're all JavaScript. Even if you open categories over here, you see this drop down and I can select things, and there's actions constantly happening throughout the website. That's all JavaScript. But it's not just the web that you can use JavaScript on. Instagram? Well, Instagram uses JavaScript. What about something else? Maybe virtual reality? Yeah, you can do that too. You can do VR games, VR apps with JavaScript. Okay, that's pretty cool. What else can JavaScript do? Well, you can actually program drones with JavaScript and control them from your Wii remote if you wanted to. What about robotics? Yeah, this guy built a robot that he can control from his web browser. How cool is that? Now, remember Node.js? We talked about this slide at the beginning of the course and how we're going to learn these topics. Well, some of this is able to be done because of it. But Node.js is pretty much JavaScript. It is JavaScript. So you learn JavaScript, you can pick up backend stuff very easily, and the Node.js section of this course will be a breeze. It's not a new language that you'll learn. So is Express, so is React. So this is why JavaScript is so important. What we will learn here will take you very far in the rest of your career. This is one skill that really opens up a lot of possibilities. Here's the beauty of JavaScript though, and any other programming languages. Because what is JavaScript really? It's a file. A file that you can write instructions to a computer. In the example of a robot arm, all you had to do is write, if I press this button, move arm to the right. If I press this button, move arm to the left. It all looks extremely complicated, but as you will see, no matter how complex a program, let's say an online game like World of Warcraft, well, everything is built one block at a time, one simple logic at a time. In the next section, we're going to start writing our first JavaScript and our first simple pieces of logic. Don't let it fool you though. Although it may look simple, these are the building blocks that allow you to build big web apps like Facebook or Google. Exciting things are going to happen with your newfound power. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.